The second most experienced offensive line in modern collegiate football history can only be defined as largely underwhelming. We should have no fear, though, because two former Cowboys are here to save the day and bring back what it means to really road grade.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at All Day O State. Today, we're brought to you by Game Time Tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for $20 off your first purchase. For all of your ticketing needs, get squared away with Game Time. Meanwhile, we get squared away in the conversation of what was supposed to be the shining light for Oklahoma State this previous season was the offensive line. A group of 6+ upperclassmen that brought back over 220 starts collectively amongst the whole room. Then, during the course of the season, we did lose Jason Queso Brooks. We also had Dalton Cooper battle injuries a little bit later on in the year. But the PFF grading from the previous season was a little bit of a mirage because PFF did point out that in Oklahoma State's Big 12 title run, we didn't even grade out very well in run blocking. Now, somehow, Ollie Gordon was still able to put together a Doak Walker campaign where he rushed for over 1,700 yards. Now, fast forward to the next season, and teams found a way to get to our quarterback, Alan Bowman, and simultaneously shut down Ollie Gordon. The offensive line being underwhelming was a massive part of that. Just like we had some difficulties on defense, the difficulties from the offensive line were the most head-scratching of all of them. Charlie Dickey was one time a legend under Bill Snyder at Kansas State that carried a massive name for offensive linemen in the recruiting realm. For whatever reason, it didn't quite work out at Oklahoma State. You could make the argument that going from a zone blocking scheme to traditional was some factoring event in him not having successful seasons in the beginning. But nonetheless, out goes Charlie Dickey alongside most of the entirety of the staff. And in comes former Cowboy Cooper Bassett and another former Cowboy alongside him, Andrew Mitchell. Andrew Mitchell comes over from New Mexico State, and Cooper Bassett comes over from a very successful career, multiple stops. And now the former Cowboys are obviously very excited about this opportunity because Cooper Bassett has been very upfront on social media. So that, in and of itself, is exciting. The fact that Cooper Bassett has done a multitude of things on both sides of the ball should be something that is very beneficial. Not to mention, when you have an interior offensive line coach and an exterior offensive line coach, that is once again something that is pretty rare in Stillwater America. But whenever you're replacing 6 seniors, 7 upperclassmen, whatever the case may be, you do have to pay attention to some of the guys that you're bringing in. So whenever we're talking about the guys that are coming into this next class, I think from a high school perspective, you have to look at guys like Tyler Brumfield coming in at 6'6", 315 pounds by way of Utah. Riker Half, 6'5", 305 pounds from Owasso, Oklahoma. Simona Fiuelotolo, probably messed that up. I do apologize. He's also coming by way of Utah at 6'6", 290 pounds. Miguel Chavez, 6'5", 300 pounds out of Muskogee, Oklahoma. And one of the names that I'm not hearing get mentioned enough is Isaiah Kima. Remember 2 years ago, number 55 ranked offensive lineman in the country, had a very successful wrestling career in high school where he put together a record of 25-9. This dude was a very big deal coming out of high school, right? And we were able to get him over Arizona State, Utah, BYU, KU, amongst many other teams, and they were all vying for his services because he is the epitome of a road grader. And that is precisely what we were missing this previous season. We had some good offensive linemen, but we didn't have any dogs. We didn't have any guys that were going in there and being willing to mix it up. Who cares if you get a penalty here and there? if you're one of those dirty, nasty, mean dudes down low, that typically carries a significant amount of weight. Isaiah Kima has the wrestling background that we always look for, but even on top of that, he also has a very innate ability to transition, whether it be center or guard. He can do both, left guard, right guard. So he has some of that versatility that you're looking for. But he is coming off of a 2-year mission. So 6'4", 295-pound wrestling stud coming out of high school might not be quite the same. I did reach out to our good buddy Jake Hatch, Locked On BYU, and just asked him, typically whenever you have offensive linemen coming over after a 2-year mission, do they come in pretty good shape-wise, or does it typically take them a little bit to get everything back underneath them and get them in game shape? He did say that it's typically about a year off of a mission before somebody is game ready. And that is okay, because we also have a Louis Canepa coming in from New Mexico State at 6'4", 320 pounds. He has a vast knowledge of how to play the game. Plus, he has a lot of familiarity, obviously, with Coach Mitchell coming in. We have another name that I dare do not murder by Lavaca, 6'4", 315 pounds by way of Weber State. We also have Kason Carpenter, 6'3", 291 pounds, coming over from Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's good to see that we have the ability to merge some of the returning guys on top of some of these transfers that are very well suited to conduct at full pace under this new coaching staff. And on top of that, you have guys like Isaiah Kima, that if he's given the right amount of time to develop, and if we can get him in game shape a little bit quicker, faster than what is traditional, then this offensive line can instantaneously be better than last year. As we mentioned, Ollie Gordon getting hit in the backfield over 51% of the time is not on Ollie Gordon. It's not even on Alan Bowman. It's all on that offensive line. So this group should be able to go from underwhelming to significantly better right away. Not just because of the coaches, but the fact that we have an interior coach and an exterior coach, which means the fundamental technical side of the game is going to be taught from two different perspectives. On top of that, you have the transfer class coming in, some of which has a lot of familiarity already with the coaching staff that is now in Stillwater, America. And then you have some young guys like Jalen Beckley. Whenever it comes to the rankings, according to Rivals, the only offensive lineman that we've brought in the last couple of years that would rank higher is Jalen Beckley. But he was also a former All-American, just like Jalen Beckley. A U.S. Army All-American does carry a significant amount of weight. Being top 55 in the country does carry a significant amount of weight. The amount of teams that he turned down just to come to Stillwater speaks volumes to not only him as an individual. His character is obviously extremely high, just coming back from that 2-year mission in New Zealand. This is an individual that I think we need to pay attention to. Another reason to be excited, we do have Rob Glass. So if it traditionally takes a season to get somebody off of a mission into game shape, that is without strength and conditioning coach Rob Glass. And I know some people have had some questions over the last couple of years as it pertains to injuries, but in Glass we trust. There is a reason that he is the highest paid strength coach in America. He is able to do things that are not typical. So this is an opportunity. And I think it's going to be an opportunity for us to see what an old school road grading, nitty gritty offensive lineman looks like once again. Not to mention, you have the Doug Meacham connection. He was here during that time. He was here with both of these coaches. So if you're looking at reasons, I feel like those are more than enough for us to expect the offensive line play to jump. Because whether it be complacency, talent, laziness, unforeseen circumstances, there's no way around the fact that the most underwhelming group was the offensive line. We knew we had to get better, and it looks as though we definitely did that. I'm excited about this group, just like I'm excited about Isaiah Kima. He's not being talked about enough because he was technically part of the 2023 class. So I wanted to hit that, some of the other guys, and some of the reasons we should be pumped up about the O-line moving forward, just like you should be pumped up about the ticket-getting game, baby. Game Time is where you need to be for all of your ticketing needs. Attending NFL playoff games is an experience like no other. The energy, the excitement, the connection with other fans is virtually unmatched. If you can remember the thrill of seeing your favorite team clinch a playoff W, it's a memory that you'll never forget. Being there in person makes that 10,000 times better. This year, Game Time makes it even easier to create those unforgettable moments with their new feature, the Game Time Picks. It filters out all the fluffy stuff and shows you only the best deals on the best seats so you can focus on what matters the most, physically actually being there. You can use Game Time Picks to grab tickets for the upcoming Super Bowl. It couldn't be easier. The Super Deal gives you the most incredible value on the most amazing seats in the game with the seat preview that is panoramic, so you know exactly what you're getting before you get in there. No surprise fees at checkout. Knowing your tickets are backed by the Game Time guarantee gives you the complete peace of mind that you need. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create that account, redeem that code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, now we have another All-Star member. The first NBA All-Star from Oklahoma State since John Starks. And that actually is kind of surprising because we have had some pretty amazing dudes in the NBA since then. Having guys like Tony Allen make, the all defensive team or defensive player of the year is pretty spectacular. Marcus Smart has also been the NBA defensive player of the year. But Cade Cunningham, we remember, maybe I should say, we remember what it could have been like with Cade Cunningham at the helm, because it was a lackluster season the year after he left. And since Cade Cunningham left, we have not been the same. And that even made you realize how special he was the more you look back, because it was virtually the same team that returned the next season during the you can't go to the tournament because you're banned season. And then, of course, they weren't going to do that because Cade Cunningham brought so many dollar bills, a.k.a. eyeballs, that they needed us in the tournament. We should have made a better run, but what we thought was an extremely talented roster returned the next season, and it just completely fell apart. Now, you could make the argument of not having the ability to play for the tournament, especially the timing that was given was part of the ordeal. But nonetheless, Cade Cunningham, who was the newcomer of Big 12 Newcomer of the Year, National Newcomer of the Year, could have done so many things, and he could still do so many things if he weren't with the Detroit Pistons. Well, let's call a spade a spade. Now, I don't get up in arms about a lot of the NBA action, but I do watch Cade Cunningham. I do watch Marcus Smart. I do watch Lindy Waters. Outside of that, I don't really give 13 hoots or poops. It is what it is. But Cade Cunningham now is an All-Star, the first All-Star since John Starks. Even Desmond Mason, who won the NBA dunk contest, hasn't been able to garner this award. So congratulations to Cade Cunningham. Of course, it feels great in Cowboy country to have this dude doing this, especially at this level. Cade Cunningham, after making the all-rookie team, battled injuries, for a couple of years. But this season, why he made the All-Star team is because he's averaging 25 points a game, 9.3 assists per game. He gets in on the blocks. He gets in on the steals. He gets in on fast breaks. He gets in on facilitation. His ability to pass guys open was extremely rare. We knew that. Now it's finally time to see all of the world to see that as well. The All-American averaged 20.1 points a game at Oklahoma State. And again, he did get us to the second round of the NCAA tournament, but we could have done much better. And losing to the other orange and black squad with a former Cowboy, Maurice Kalou, it was, pretty devastating. But again, We miss what Cade Cunningham brought to Oklahoma State because since Cade Cunningham left, we have been a shell of a program. And even the year that he was there, he was the catalyst that carried everything. When we needed points in a hurry, it was Cade Cunningham. When we needed the shot at the last milliseconds of the game, it was Cade Cunningham. We knew it. They knew it. The announcers knew it. The other team's coach was screaming it. Everybody knew who was getting the ball, and they still couldn't stop him. And it's amazing to see him doing that in the NBA. Because, again, we've had a lot of individuals that have come through. One of my favorites was Desmond Mason. He was one of the biggest reasons that I was so enamored with Oklahoma State at such an early age. Of course, I went to football games. Of course, going to Allie P. Reynolds Stadium was something that we looked forward to anytime we were in Stillwater, every time we were in Stillwater. But I get weird looks when I remind younger individuals that back in the day, the big ticket was Gallagher, Iba Arena, and Allie P. It was what it was. So watching Cade Cunningham at Oklahoma State and now watching him in the NBA and watching him at the All-Star game, it should do nothing but help the brand of Oklahoma State do a little bit more. The capabilities in recruiting have never been questioned in basketball, even with Travis Ford. The question has been getting the results. And right now, Steve Lutz isn't quite doing that. So we could use Cade Cunningham. It would be absolutely phenomenal if he could find some extra eligibility and come back for a year. There's got to be a COVID season in there for him, right? All right, so we might as well talk hoops. So the Oklahoma State Cowboys took it on the chin. That is about the only way that you can chalk this one up. And what really hurts the most is this was an opportunity at a sweep because we did beat Kansas State in Stillwater earlier on in the year, where Abu Usman popped off for 27 points. Unfortunately, that did not happen at all because we got absolutely throttled in Manhattan, Kansas, 57-85 against an 8-11 squad, which brings us now to 10-10. We are a 500 team with a 2-7 Big 12 record. And the kicker here is we either win or we get absolutely dominated. The only game I can recall that was super close all the way throughout was more or less the Houston game. To begin Big 12 play, we gave ourselves an opportunity, and it just didn't quite happen. So we let multiple players for Kansas State get in double figures. Hassan had 18 points. Hawkins had 15 points. Jones had 14 points. McDaniel had 10 points. Meanwhile, the only guy who really was able to get off for us was Marcellus Chi Avery for 22 points. Bryce Thompson was in double digits with 11 points, and he did make some pretty nice plays, but it was underwhelming. They opened the game with like a 10-0 run and a 15-4 run, and we could just never recover. And that's the downside of this team because of our deficiencies offensively. If we get down by a bunch pretty early, it's going to be hard to come back. It just is what it is. And whenever you're shooting 39% from the floor, not going to do yourself any favors. 31% from three-point line, not doing yourself any favors. 60% from the free throw stripe, are you kidding me? Rebounds were even, but 21 turnovers isn't going to beat anybody, especially when you give up 15 steals in the process. It was an ugly game. And now we've lost 3 straight. 5 of the last 6. We do get a home game against Utah, but saying that that's a winnable game is kind of almost a far cry because we have no clue whatsoever. We don't know what this team is going to look like from night to night. We do, however, know how J.C. Hoyt's Cowgirls are typically going to look, and this wasn't even a pretty game. It wasn't what we're used to. 41% from the field, it's okay. 36% from the three-point line, that's not our typical outage. But what is typical is Staley Hurd dropping 28 points, getting 10 boards for a double-double as the 24th ranked Cowgirls put together a battle. It was a battle to get this thing done. So hats off to Arizona State. Although I will say they were extremely chippy for a team that is not all that great. Now, they did keep pace with us, so you've got to give them props, but 2-7 in Big 12 play and 8-13 overall wasn't something that you would have expected it to be that close. But when you have Staley Hurd dropping 28 points, it is going to give you the ability to win most of your games. Anna Gret had a nice night, 14 points. Tegan Magassa got in double figures with 11. Alexia Smith had 10 as well. So it was really nice to see that the Cowgirls get yet another dub to make this Big 12 title race extremely interesting as we're getting towards the end of the season here. It is an exciting time to pay attention to Cowgirl basketball. And just like, it's an exciting time to continue to cheer for Cowboy basketball, but it's also somewhat devastating. It hurts the heart. It's a morale killer. Just like, before we skedaddle on off of here, another big morale killer is Boomer Lake. Why is there a lake in the middle of Stillwater called Boomer Lake? Now, I know that it was settled by Boomers instead of Sooners, right? Because the people who settled Stillwater didn't cheat the land rush, so I get that. And they were all called Boomers back then. Okay, cool. But if you're from Stillwater and you're anything like me, I don't know, it's bothered me my entire life. Even when I was a little bitty kid and we'd go to Boomer Lake and I'd be like, why is this here? And of course, I know there's going to be some people in the comment section, and I hear you, that says, like, this is ridiculous. Who cares what it's called? If you're thinking about Boomer Lake being an issue, that means OU's living rent-free. I completely disagree. This is about principle, all right? What was normal 200 years ago, what was acceptable 200 years ago should not be the same now, 100 years, whatever it was, 80 years. Regardless, the millisecond that Boomer Sooner became a widely accepted thing, we should have renamed that stupid thing. Who cares if it was named after Boomers? Even though I might sound like one right now, this is absolutely preposterous. And shout out to Keaton Hargett, a.k.a. OK State Probs, and some of the former DLHS crew who are now putting this thing together to at least see what it would look like to try to get it renamed to Whedon Lake, Blackman Lake, Gundy Lake, Pioneer Lake, Lake of the middle of nowhere. Who cares? But Boomer Lake needs to go. It's not named after somebody, so the historical connotation behind it being what it is ridiculous. I cannot believe that it's 2025 and we're just now doing something to get rid of that most obnoxious name in Stillwater, America. It shouldn't exist. It shouldn't be there. It is stupid. And on top of the OU living rent-free style of conversation, you can't tell me that you haven't heard several OU fans and fans outside of OU that have made jokes about how, well, it's the Sooner State and y'all can't say anything because you have Boomer Lake in the middle of Stillwater. So anytime you're complaining about it being called the Sooner State, which I also cannot stand, if you are not okay with that, then you darn sure shouldn't be okay with Boomer in the middle of Stillwater. It is just dumb. It doesn't make sense. We need to change with the times. So make sure you go to change.org or go check out OK State Probs, a.k.a. Keaton. He has put it up on his X, Twitter stuff. And it's already getting signatures. So this has some legs. Even if, what's his name? The mayor from Stillwater, Will something. Even though he had made comments throughout the course of the day as well, insinuating that he wasn't a big fan of the entire ordeal. But you know what? Who cares? You, sir, need to do some things that help yourself. And Will Joyce, Mr. Will Joyce, Mr. I'm going to let the ATF be my snuggle bunny, Mr. We shouldn't be outside for concerts during the COVID. Mr. That Guy, this is your opportunity to get things right. Now, how in God's orange earth this individual is voted for, I have no idea. But this is his opportunity to quit with the crap. Who cares if Brandon Whedon lives in Edmond? Is that what people think of when they think of Brandon Whedon? No. Who cares if Justin Blackmon does not live in Stillwater, America? Is that what he's known for? No. Mike Gundy, hell, he lives here. So if you want to go that route, you can go that route. We're fine with that as well. But he's going to get his statue that is earned and deserved. So maybe the lake should be something other than what it is. And it doesn't have to be Whedon, doesn't have to be Blackmon. I mean, heck, it could be Frank Eaton Lake because he's not from Stillwater either. Yet we proudly present Pistol Beat all over the country. Pull your head out of your ace, Mr. Joyce. This is your time to shine. Get in the good graces of everybody who bleeds orange. All right, y'all. Sorry for the late one. Been at the bank dealing with loan stuff. You know how that goes. And we were having a guest a little bit later on this evening. He had something come up. So we put this fun stuff out because the O-line needs to be the most improved group for us to have success in the 2025 season. Having another all-star NBA dude in Cade Cunningham is huge for Oklahoma State. Cowgirls keep cruising. Cowboys keep catching a bruising. And Boomer Lake needs to be a thing of the past. It needs to die off. Get rid of it. Take it somewhere. I don't care. Just be done with it. Just like we're done with this one. All righty, y'all. That's all we're going to have here. As always, you know I love you. God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen here in Locked On Oklahoma State. You could be anywhere. So happy you choose to be here. Like it if you like the daggone thing. Dislike if you don't. That's okay too. More importantly, share, comment, and subscribe. My podcast people out there. You're the bricks, the bread, the butter, the fountain, the fondue, the funny stuff, the funky stuff. You're all of it. Do what you do. Hit the stars. Leave a review. All righty, y'all. Later, my taters.